thanks for coming. And as I mentioned, today's presentation is going to be more technical and a little bit deeper. So it's going to be about things that we do to integrate Windows Unity apps with Windows 10. And I'm actually one of the few people who's not based in Europe, coming here from the US. I'm based in Silicon Valley in California. So I have a little bit of a jet lag still. I have to apologize for this. But anyway, it's very nice to actually see you guys here. We have another event from Unity in Boston in September. So this presentation is actually great because it allows us to connect with you guys before we actually release Windows 10. Windows 10 is going to be released on July 29th, and this is our target date essentially. So this is our schedule for today. So we'll talk about basically what is called the. I've seen people saying different things about Windows Store apps, and what we actually call them now is Universal Windows Platform. So it's the Universal Windows Apps and the Universal Windows Platform. That's the official name. So when you open Unity, you will see the target for the Universal Apps for Windows. That's essentially the idea. All right, and most importantly, when you build your apps and bring them to Windows, my presentation can be probably just a few minutes. I can just tell you, hey guys, go to build settings, set the build target to Windows Store apps, and we're done. So we made the experience as transparent as possible for you, as easy as possible. However, there are certain things that we want you to pay attention to because when you engage your users, when you work with your users, you definitely want to take advantage of that experience that Windows provides, and that's the, starting from the iconic experience of live tiles, and I'll try to make my presentation actually very live here. So it's the experience of live tiles, it's the experience of Windows services such as Xbox Live, for example. It's the new gaming center that we have, which is also very cool. So we want you guys to integrate all these experiences as well. And this is what this presentation is about. And of course we have this very cool demo for you guys. So if you want to go ahead and download the source code for this, you can actually download it from my blog, kevinashley.com. The idea here is to show you that it's actually very easy to integrate Cortana into Unity. In fact, it's probably the first article I think that was about Cortana integration on Windows 8.1 appeared on MSDN blog and was done by one of the MVPs in the UK actually, and I want to give credit to these guys. So and then what I've heard is another team is actually working on the plugin, a set of plugins for Unity to help you guys use Cortana. So let's just go to my Unity settings. Somebody asked me actually about the laptop that I use here. It's actually pretty awesome. One of the experiences that Windows has is I don't really need to use the trackpad. I can actually just use my fingers all the time. Actually, if I do the Alt, it'll be much easier for me to navigate the scene. See that? I'm not using the trackpad, I'm not using the mouse, I'm not using anything. It's my Windows, it's the touch screen. So it's actually great to navigate your scene right in the editor. It's one of the things that I just discovered that I can use on Windows, which is pretty awesome. Of course, you need to have the touch screen, so it's sort of Mac guys. Just have to say that, right? All right, so this is my scene. I'll just explain to you a little bit the setup. I have an avatar which is used. This is one of the standard assets, free assets from Miximo, but you can use any avatar for this, right? There's a camera that's attached to it, right? So very, very simple, very basic. I have a very simple canvas with the new, shall I call it the new UI, right? So I have some text on it, right? So if I just rotate this, so it's going to say await your command, and I'm going to focus back to on my avatar. Right? I'm going to rotate this scene You guys can do it so much better than me. But again, this presentation is mostly about what do we do with Windows and how to make it available on Windows. Now, so if I'm a Windows user, I usually use, and again, many of you use MonoDevelop. I use MonoDevelop also, but because I use Visual Studio a lot, I use Visual Studio Editor because for me, it's just more natural. If you want to use Visual Studio Editor, it's actually very easy to do. Once you go to, I think it's called Visual Studio Tools for Unity, and you just install it. For any projects, you can go to Assets, Import Package, Visual Studio Tools. That's it. At that point, it automatically starts using Visual Studio instead of MonoDevelop, which is basically synchronizing all this stuff. But again, it's up to you. Whatever tool you're comfortable with, you can use that. I'm just saying that it's actually very easy to use. So I have a walk-in script here attached to my avatar. Now, if you notice, usually in the walk-in script, in the update, we have a bunch of input acceptance commands, right? So we want to make the avatar move. Let me actually show you what the app should look like so that you're not getting confused. Just start that from the beginning. This is my Medium demo. I'm just going to run it so you guys have the full experience of what it looks like. And forget about all the screens for now. It's just going to show you how it builds and just launches on Windows 10. Yeah, I have Windows 10. I actually use it all the time as my primary device, primary workstation, to put it this way. Sometimes it has issues with the drivers because it's not released the way it's built, but by the time it gets released, of course, you get it pretty polished. All right, so what do I have here? Let's see, make a name, start it, it still compiles. We started. All right. Super nice. It's made with Unity. So this is my avatar, right? So I want to control it with commands, and I'll show you guys. You're very familiar with making a model, so it's actually very easy to use. So what I'm going to do now is. So basically, I'm speaking to it, and then it starts dancing. I skipped the whole speaking point because I'm talking to the microphone right now, and this is actually doing the audio output, so I wasn't sure how it works. But basically, it starts dancing, and then it starts walking based on the commands, right? I was actually being a developer. When I prepare for the presentation, I always have tricks and things put in the app so that I can actually control it if things with the audio drivers go bad, which is what happened. All right. So how does this happen? So first of all, I have the just a standard animator window, right? So if you guys see my animation states, which is if I just scroll this, which is dance, walking, jump, idle, just very basic things triggered from any state. All right. So I have all my animations here. Now again, the animations are all pretty basic. Again, I've used. You can use any standard asset, but I imported those from Mixamo just because they were so easy to import. And then, so my goal is now to make Cortana work on Windows. Now, one important thing about Windows 10 is, and I think it was mentioned during one of the presentations by the Unity guys, when you are in the Unity editor, the Unity editor is mono, meaning that it's a .NET Profile 3.5, but it's not really a .NET Profile 3.5. So it's a little bit off, and I'll show you what the differences are. So when I build it, so this is how I go into build settings. Hopefully you guys can see that. So with the targets, for the targets, I choose Windows Store, right? And in the drop-down for the SDK, there is a new target here called Universal 10. You guys don't see this target yet. My team actually works with Unity, and we work with the Unity team to enable this. When Windows 10 comes out, because it's not out yet, we don't have official release, Then by that time, Unity has its own timeline for releasing things, and then by that time, they will release the update, hopefully for whatever version they want to have this build for. In the meanwhile, I choose the SDK version as 10, and there are two what they call the UAP build types. One is XAML, and second one is D3D. So I'm not going to focus too much on this. I'm just going to say that most of the Windows apps are built as XAML apps. XAML is a language that basically, it's almost like HTML. It describes the UI for the apps. Actually, there is even a plugin for Unity or a component that uses a XAML-like GUI rendering syntax. Somebody pointed this at me, and I was actually very impressed. Anyway, so and then I click build, and then it's gonna ask me to choose the folder essentially where it's gonna direct that build. I'm not gonna do the build right now, but I'm just gonna go to the build folder to show you guys what it looks like. So it shows another Visual Studio solution. So yes, just like with the I believe the iOS apps, you guys have another Visual Studio solution to open. So you open this, and I actually have it open already, and it's running right now. And what this is just a standard Windows Universal app. You see it right here, it says Windows Universal. I made the font actually a little bit larger on Visual Studio on the screen so that you guys can see the content of the screen, but it doesn't let me sort of assume the service panels for you. So for the only changes, and there is a step-by-step guide on the blog page that I have, how to add the files required to make Cortana work. But for this specific app, we have what's called the voice command files. So voice command file is very simple. It has basically what's called the command prefix, and you can describe all your grammar for the app in the XML. So essentially, you don't really have to code like specific things there. You can just describe the grammar in the XML and then do additional things in the script. And it worked like this for all the Windows apps since the beginning of times. So essentially, in this case, I have avatar as the command prefix, and then I have a display text command name, and then I have player actions. And player actions are caption phrases, and it can be actually pretty smart. It can be in between other phrases. So it can be, Cortana is a cloud-based natural language parsing engine. So it does parsing, including the cloud backend, and it's actually smart about distinguishing things. So for example, the commands that I wanted to map to my Unity mechanism states are listed right here. Stop, walk, jump, run, dance. Right? That's what I want my avatar to do. And then I have this little, so this is the XML file that I added. And then there is a little speech helper thing. So the speech helper things actually calls the speech commands in Cortana. And what it does is it sets one static variable set on mono behavior, which is derived the Cortana Unity behavior, which is derived from the mono behavior, and it just sets it to that text spoken. So this is where the link happens. Okay? So now if I go in Unity, so that is one for you guys, and then just go into my working script. Because it's open already, and just open this. So as you guys can see in the update, I'm just checking the avatar command, that avatar command that was passed to me from the Windows 10 app, right? Very simple. And I set the animator trigger to Cortana Unity avatar command. So if it's a walk, it's a walk. If it's some weird command that nobody knew about and I don't have a state for it, oh well, it's not going to do anything, right? But and then I just set that avatar command to null, so that the next update on the next frame, it doesn't cache anything. Easy, right? So I mean, there's no magic here. It's so easy to add Cortana to your apps. It's unbelievable. Now, Windows Universal Platform, and when you build for Windows, remember that it's not built in mono. I think one of the scripting guys at Unity mentioned that a couple of times. It's actually built in the Windows Universal Profile apps. And we have this huge API that you guys can access from this app that is being generated. And to answer your question in advance, can you add other pages to the app? Oh, yes, you can. You can add, so right now, everything that Unity generates is actually inside this main page, which is a XAML page, which is what I asked it to be, within the component called the swap chain panel. So the swap chain panel is something that we have as a component for XAML that allows it to render DirectX content. Okay? And when Unity generates things, it actually generates a DirectX content. So this is the container for DirectX content. But you're completely free to add, other pages to the app, and you're not limited to in your creativity with this, in your apps and games. So essentially, it gives you an extension to what you can do natively in Windows. So somebody approached me yesterday, one of the partners, and I think I see him in the audience right now, and said, hey, what if I want to use your other services? So Cortana is actually a cloud-based service that Microsoft has in a wider set of services called Windows Azure, right? So one of these things is called Project Oxford. And Project Oxford allows you to, for example, it does the vision, it has a vision API, it has a face API. All these APIs are REST-based. So you guys can use it from iOS devices, from Android devices, from all kinds of devices, in fact. And we also have the speech API and what's called the LUIS, the Language Understanding Intelligence Service. So this is part of the, right now, if you go to the website, which is projectoxford.ai, artificial intelligence, obviously. So this will allow you to submit a request to use the APIs. We don't have a public access yet for it. It's by invite. But you guys can go there and see if you're interested in REST API access to these things. You can access them. So what this allows you to do, and why is this different from Cortana? Cortana is essentially a showcase scenario on how to use language processing on Windows devices. You have access to a much larger scope of services that we have within LUIS, for example, such as, for example, you can detect intents, or you can determine entities within speech. So this is actually a very complicated speech pattern recognition things, but I just wanted to mention it because somebody asked me about it. So this is just to recap on Windows 10. When you have Unity for Windows 10 available, you choose a target for it, and then you choose whatever app container you want to use. Now, this is something that I wanted to mention about IO to CPP, Unity, and .NET CLR, and what is this whole relationship. So what you guys have, again, in the Unity editor is Mono, which is very close to .NET Core profile, .NET 3.5 profile, but it's not exactly that profile. So when you build your apps, sometimes you will notice things that are not exactly the same, and so you will see those red lines in Unity editor. Most of the times we found solutions for them, and Unity forums are actually a great place to go there and look them up. There are some very easy answers to them. They never stop any of the developers that I worked with. And actually, how many of you guys used Windows 10 already? Wow. That is very, very, very impressive. Thank you. It's a very easy transition for you, and we definitely encourage you to bring your apps to Windows. With IL2CPP, guess what happens, right? Unity has a very easy roadmap to .NET Core, the current profile. Why the current profile is cool? Because you can use all the asynchronous programming there, like await, async. You also have access to a huge community of NuGet packages. And if I just search for NuGet. We have, I think, about close to 38,000 packages, or 40,000 packages, 150 million downloads, actually. These are all components written for .NET. And once Unity is .NET Core Profile enabled, you guys will probably have very easy access to these components. Okay, so I have about 3 minutes. I'm just going to really briefly go through the rest of the slides, and then for all the questions, you guys can join me at the speakers corner next to Microsoft booth. So one of the features that Windows has is Toast and Live tiles. Notice this Unity Engine.WSA stands for Windows Store Applications before they became the Windows Universal Apps. Once you add this namespace, you'll be able to access Toast, tiles, launchers, secondary tile data, and application callbacks. So this is the features that you want from Windows, such as notifications and tiles, update the nice little things on the screen, right? Compiler directives, very easy if you want to isolate Windows-specific code, just use if netfx core, and you're good. So whatever code that's in here is going to be ignored by the Unity editor, and it's not going to crash or basically destroy your experience within Unity. You can use native plugins. App callbacks is the way to communicate from the Windows app native to Unity, back and forth, right? DirectX is a great. Now, just one thing that I want to mention, I have exactly 1 minute, is when you design for multiple resolutions in Windows, you have a wide range of devices, right? So remember that canvas scaler thing, right? Which has a very useful option, scale with screen size, right? So when you design your GUI, it's actually very good to position your elements on the GUI screen in Unity so that they actually match the different landscape orientations and such. All right, and at the end, do publish to Windows Store, dev.windows.com. We expect your apps. Now, all the questions are going to be in the Microsoft booth. It's very easy to find. There's a huge Windows 10 sign. And again, thank you guys for coming. Thank you.